Prologue. My friends, this is a story about how appearances can be deceptive. Tony Stark. Christmas Eve, the most magical night of the year. The night when the man in the red suit flies through the air and comes to town. But tonight, that man isn't Santa Claus. It's the invincible Ironman, and this is his story. Chapter 1. It was a beautiful, late December evening in Rose Hill, Tennessee. New snow had just fallen on the cold ground, and a single deer emerged from the edge of the dark forest, illuminated by the brightest stars from above. One star in particular seemed to stand out. It glowed brighter and brighter, and anyone looking up at the sky that chilly December night would think that maybe, just maybe, it was the Star of Bethlehem. But then it began to glow even more radiantly, and it started to move. Soon it was rocketing toward the small patch of pristine snow, which was just off the main highway. Chapter 2. Long Island, New York, 1980. Unlike other kids his age, Tony Stark grew up surrounded by money. A lot of money. Tony lived in a beautiful mansion that was filled with butlers and servants, many of whom served as Tony's only friends. For even as a small boy, Tony seemed to have a figurative suit of armor around him. Tony was always a very smart child, a regular chip of the old block, and that was made immediately apparent by the number of science fair trophies and medals gracing the young boy's room. At just 7 years old, Tony was already smarter and more creative than kids twice his age. But no matter how smart he was, there was one person who was always smarter: his father, Howard Stark. It was in his shadow that Tony lived. Howard Stark was a billionaire inventor who had become internationally renowned for his futuristic inventions and innovations, as well as for being the founder of Stark Industries. But perhaps what Howard Stark was most famous for was for being a part of the Strategic Scientific Reserve, the SSR, the top secret team responsible for creating the world's first super soldier, Captain America. Plus, it was Howard Stark who designed the first Avengers' iconic vibranium shield. Tony Stark had a lot to live up to, but not when it comes to his mother. Maria Stark. Maria Stark was a kind and a thoughtful woman who nurtured the young boy. Tony always knew that this mother tried to give him the best and most normal life possible, and because of that and her warmth and compassion, Tony always wanted to make her smile. One day, while she was leaving in the car, Tony held up his hand and it glowed, almost as if he were wearing a repulsor beam and it was about to fire. Then Tony opened his clenched fist, and several flies flew out from the center of his palm. Tony hadn't created a new power source, and he hadn't made a repulsor beam, but he did make his mother smile, and that was all that mattered. Not long after that, Tony's mother died, and Tony was alone with his father. While his dad taught him many brilliant things, Tony always missed his mother and her smile. Tony Stark, the adult, smiled at the thought of his mother, but that's not where the story starts. He said to himself, as he slowly lifted his head from the snow-covered ground. The air was getting colder, and the snow was beginning to collect on the Ironman armor, but Tony remained silent and still. He closed his eyes and remembered a different woman. This woman wasn't his mother. It was an old friend who had appeared at his home hours earlier, just before the snake attack on his mansion. Her name was Maya Hansen, and she was also a scientist. Tony has first seen her on New Year's Eve 1999. He was in Switzerland with his bodyguard and driver, Happy Hogan, and it was almost midnight.